We're good.
Yes. Hello. That is 5 people in 8 seconds.
What's up, people?
Yes. Hello. We're going to wait just for a few seconds to give people a chance to appear, give people a chance to show up. And yeah, I found it. Thank you for the people who have gotten here within those first 20 seconds. Yes, Ben, I do have a new haircut. Thank you for commenting on it. It was long overdue to put at the very least. Definitely very long overdue. So, do we just want to get started? I think
Let's do it.
Yeah. So, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Terrier Talk. This is episode 9. A pretty big week. We'll talk about it in a little bit for varsity softball and baseball as well. And I, of course, have the great singer, great actor, great runner himself, Bryce Valor, as guest today. So, Bryce, nice to meet you here. Of course, nice to have you here.
Having me.
Yes, you're welcome. And now, like I said, great singer, great actor. You have a video YouTube uploaded of your singing Oceans. Go check that out. It is very well sung from the Mass a couple of weeks ago. And that is, as great as that is, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about sports. We're here to talk about your track season and the track season in general. Now, I also am in track. I throw shot put, but you're able to give a very different perspective than me for this. So I wonder, how is the track season looking for long distance as well as sprinting runners right now?
It's looking pretty good. We kind of had a slow start. A few of the practices we were out of shape, of course.
Yeah, between soccer and basketball, just getting here as well as just trying to get warmed up. That makes a lot of sense.
Right, but we have a great work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
We have Dylan Smith, great team leader. He's got a lot in store for this season. And a little shout out I'd like to do is Hayden Hoyensey. That's my boy from cross country, and he has insane work ethic, and I'm excited to see what he has in store for this season for sure.
Yeah, both Hayden and Dylan I'm very interested to watch, and hopefully you can keep me posted for that especially. So I wonder, how does the track meet work for, like, just take me through even step by step if you want to. How does the track meet work?
Alrighty.
For a runner. Yeah, for a runner specifically.
Alrighty. So you get off the bus, you go to the football field, and you just wait. And you can watch, support all your friends while they're running, drink water, stay hydrated, of course, and
don't get sunburned.
Yeah, definitely bring sunscreen. Once your event rolls around, you run, and then you head off. That's it.
Now, aren't you a multiple event runner?
Yes.
So it's not. I guess it's not that simple for you.
Yeah. Actually, my last event is the last event of the track meet, so
okay.
I'll be seen there all night.
Nice. I guess, do you stay for awards and stuff afterwards?
Yes. So after the last event, there is an award ceremony. Mm-hmm. Takes about 5 minutes. It's really just team awards and then like MVP or something like that.
Okay. I guess. I mean, maybe even being a multiple sport runner, maybe that's something you'll be up for at some point. Who knows?
I hope so.
Obviously, best of luck for that. And I wonder, so you run, you're in the 4x4, right? Mm-hmm. You run, what else do you do exactly?
800 800 open. And I'm not doing 400 open this year, I don't think. Coach Malone has not told me that. Mm-hmm. But as of now, just 800 and 4x4.
Okay. That's, where's the exact time frame for those two events? I know 4x4 is last, but where exactly is 800?
800, I know why it's a conflict. We can't really do the 400 and 800 open.
Okay.
Because they are back to back, or there's one event in between. I'm not really positive. But, I'm pretty sure 800 is about an hour and a half before the 4x4.
Okay. Do you have any trouble being tired between the two, or are you?
Yeah, there's definitely an element of fatigue in it. Mm-hmm. So you finish your race, you lay down, and you feel like passing out, basically.
Right.
But I think it's the perfect amount of time to where you're starting to feel good again, and you have one last lap to do.
Right. I know for me specifically, I'm going to look into potentially throwing for multiple sports this year, but just throwing shot put 4 throws, and I'm like, my arm's just dead. I don't want to have to throw. I don't want to fling something. I can't pick up a shot put afterwards.
Right.
So thinking about the perspective of there are a lot of people that do multiple sports, right? Yeah. Especially in running, where the difference between running 800 meters and 400 meters or 800 meters, even for some people the 1 mile, 2 mile, it's not. There's not going to be a huge difference where a different person is going to be better than you.
Right.
So having to run multiple sports, I think, is a very interesting, I guess, part of track, and I think it's very interesting to look into. So I wonder, outside of the meets, and I think the meets are really really fun, really fun to watch, fun to be a part of. Our practices, is there anything specific with practices that you find intriguing or interesting?
I think a lot of people don't realize the amount of work that goes into the practices. A lot of people will think it's just, you show up and you run and then you leave. But there's a huge element of working hard, and you're very tired at the end of it.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's a lot.
And it's something I've noticed more this year than in years previous. That's not to say that we weren't working in years previous, but it feels like a workout.
Yeah.
Specifically this year, and maybe it's the fact that I've seen more of the runners than I have before, but it looks like a workout. It looks like when someone gets home from football practice or basketball practice, they're sweating, they're just drenched, and it shows. I think it shows on the field. I think I do want to give a mention to Coach Malone. I mean, I think he does a very, very good job with that. And you guys, it's a sport. It really is. I mean, no one questions that fact, but it is a sport. It's work, and that is obviously great job going into this season. And I hope you guys have a lot of success.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And well, is there anything else you want to bring, I guess, to the world's attention coming into the season? Anything specific? Any details?
Not really. Other than that, I'm very hopeful.
Okay. I know girls track has a lot of success. Tends to. Boys track has some success. Isn't obviously a very solid team. Do you think we'll be able to get over that hump this year and have a little bit more?
I think this year is a really good rebuilding year. But I think for years future. Yeah, years coming up that we'll have a lot of success.
And between those two names you mentioned of maybe Hayden being that future and Dylan building up that future.
Oh yes, Hayden is the future.
I think I can see that definitely for simply boys track and girls track. Both are going to be great in years upcoming. And I wish you the best of luck, of course. And I will hopefully see you again sometime.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yes, you're welcome. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bryce. So that was Bryce Valor, and I thought great job for him being on the show, and I thank him for coming out. And actually, it was on quite short notice. That's something that I want to make out. I sent him something just a little while ago. He said, "Yes, I can come," and it was great. And he came over here, and he was willing to participate and willing to talk, and that was awesome. So thank you for him. Moving on from that, we had not very much last week, excuse me, but that doesn't mean that there was nothing to talk about. Both softball and baseball had a couple of pretty big games this week. They had, I guess, the big beginning of the bulk of their season happened this past week, and neither of them began very well for us. Starting with girls softball, we began this whole season, because we had a bunch of games rained out in the past few weeks, with a blowout loss to Desperhan 11-3. That's obviously not the way you want to start off the season in this game, and hopefully, of course, the girls can bounce back from this. And they showed a bit of a sign of doing that in the next game. They faced Ascension Catholic. Excuse me, I can't think. They faced Hahnville. They went to in this tournament. They played Hahnville, and it was a much more competitive game. They played much harder. They played much better as a team, especially on defense, with a close 4-2 loss. And hopefully this will develop into a better season from those first 2 games. The girls are going to start off 0-2, but hopefully they'll be a little bit stronger going into next week. It is a big week for them next week, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Baseball had a similar rough start last week with 2 losses to add on to their previous 2 losses to Bruley and East St. John, with a loss to Ascension Episcopal 8-6 and a loss to Ascension Catholic 13-6. I guess we do not have a very good track record against schools from Ascension Parish. I don't know if that's a specific problem that we would need to fix, but it's an interesting pattern. It's an interesting bad tournament to have for the team. But I mean, that's how you have to put it when you lose 2 games in a tournament. It's not a very good result for you. But hopefully the team can bounce back from that. And they have a pretty big tournament. I'll talk about that in the main event this week. That gives them a chance to not just bounce back from these games, but to even show and prove how strong this Vanderbilt team is. I'll talk about that, of course, in 1 second. Before I get to the next week preview, talking about baseball and softball, I want to bring to attention the fact that I'm going to be hosting a special episode in a couple of weeks, this Tuesday night, March 19th at 8 o'clock p.m., Central Standard Time, of course, a March Madness special. I will be going through the bracket. The bracket will be revealed that Sunday. I'll be going through the bracket. I will be going through my predictions for the entire, all 63 games, 67 games technically, all 63 games, and I will discuss what I think, why I think what I think, interesting discussions throughout all of it. I'll talk about LSU's place. I'll talk about my thoughts on a Cinderella and potential Cinderellas going into this season, going into this March Madness, and my predictions for everything. I'll show you my full March Madness bracket, and potentially, if people want to see it, I'll even have an episode afterwards concluding the March Madness, if that is something that people would be up for. So if you're excited for that, of course, be ready. March 19th, 8 o'clock. I'll talk about it again in the next couple of weeks leading up to that March 19th video. But be ready, Tuesday night, March 19th, 8 o'clock. Be there, March Madness. Moving on to the next week. So, baseball and softball, despite the fact that it is Mardi Gras break, I thought going into the preparation for this show, that Mardi Gras break, it wouldn't be a very big week. There wouldn't be very much going on. But there is. Both softball and baseball have a bunch of games. Softball has 3 plus a tournament, and baseball has 1 plus a tournament. So let's talk about softball first. Softball begins the week by hosting St. James on Monday. The next, in a couple of days afterwards, they then proceed to host Academy of Our Lady. So both of these teams are very good, and to begin our home season, it's going to be very tough to get that first both home win and first victory in these 2 games. Both St. James and Academy of Our Lady are very, very strong teams. They're both they are a combined record of 5-1. St. James is 2-0, and Academy of Our Lady is 3-1. St. James has looked dominant in both of their games, and Academy of Our Lady has looked very strong as well, even in their loss. They have an average runs per game this season so far of 9.5, compared to our average runs per game of 2.5. It's going to be a tough matchup. Both of them will be tough matchups, and getting that first win is not going to be easy. Of course, it's never easy, and that even extends to the game on Thursday. We have a road game, our first true road game of the season for softball. We travel to Thibodaux on Thursday, and Thibodaux's 0-1. Their 1 loss is to St. James, but their 1 loss to St. James was 13-11. That tells me a couple things. Firstly, that St. James is very good, especially on offense. And secondly, that it's going to be hard to gauge how difficult this game is until we see the game against St. James. If we don't struggle against St. James, if we have good success against St. James, and we go on to win that game, even a close loss, we can go into the Thibodaux game thinking that we'll have a very good chance of victory. However, if what I in some ways sort of fear might happen, a potential tough loss for the Terriers, for the softball team against St. James, if we do struggle there, then the Thibodaux game is going to look a little bit. We're going to have a little bit of fear going into the Thibodaux game, from my perspective at the very least. Thibodaux's a very strong team. Their one loss, they still managed to score 11 runs, as I said. So it's not going to be an easy game. Win or lose against St. James, Thibodaux is going to be a strong team. Softball finishes their week against, not against any specific team. They're going to be traveling to a St. Amant tournament, a tournament at St. Amant on Friday. That will be the end of the softball week for this week. Of course, just the beginning of their season. And I hope they have a great week and a great season, of course. Moving on, finally, we have baseball for this week. Not as big a week for baseball as it was for softball. Obviously, softball with those 3 big games. Baseball only has 1 game and then a tournament. But I'll talk about that tournament in a second. Firstly, they travel to Plaquemine on Tuesday. So Plaquemine's a tough team. They average 8.2 runs per game, 14 hits a game. They average allowing 3.16 runs per game, and they are 4-2. These numbers blow all of our numbers out of proportion wildly, vastly out of proportion. It is on paper a very, very difficult matchup for us. Like I said, they're 4-2, much better record than our 0-4 record at this point. It's going to be tough. No one ever said that getting that first win is going to be easy, but it's a chance. We have a chance to go to Plaquemine and show them what we're worth, show them how good Vanderbilt baseball is. And that leads me to the main event this week. The main event this week is a baseball tournament this weekend. I think it's Thursday to Saturday to U High. So I have never gone in depth on a tournament before because there is really no way to. You can't, I don't have the ability, unless it's our own tournaments, to look at who's playing who, when, what teams are in the tournament, and how we can match up against the teams that we might play. However, what I can do, and what I do know, is the history and the perspective going into this game. And that is that Vanderbilt's not going to be expected to do very well. And why do I say that? It's because of our history against U High and our history against teams of that caliber and schools of that culture, I guess is a way to put it. We've always seemed to come up short against U High. We've had victories before, but in a lot of big games, we've come up short against U High. We've lost to them in 2015 in the football game, football playoff semifinals. We lost in the basketball semifinals against them in 2018. And in 2018, we had the penalty kick loss to them in the finals of the soccer state championship game. It makes sense that these two teams know each other very well, of course, being in the same playoff bracket. U-High doesn't look at us, and I understand we've gotten wins, but U-High doesn't look at us, and the teams up there in Baton Rouge don't look at us as a threat. They don't look at us as a team that can hang with them. They don't look at us as a school, athletically, that can hang with them. So this tournament, these games, this weekend is a chance for us, for this baseball team, to go out there and prove what Vanderbilt baseball looks like. Show them what Vanderbilt baseball looks like, and show them what Vanderbilt sports looks like. That is our chance. That is what's at stake, and that is why that is the main event of this episode. It is a very, very big tournament for the perspective, for the scope of Vanderbilt sports in general. If we go out there and underperform and don't perform to our abilities and it gets smacked around, they're going to think of us like they did before. They're going to think of us as this just lowlife of a school, of a team. But if we go out there and punch them in the face, go out there just slobber knocker, go out there and work out there and win games and show what Vanderbilt sports looks like, then we'll be treated seriously by U-High. Then we'll be treated seriously. Then we'll be taken seriously. Then we'll be looked at as a serious threat and a serious contender. So despite the fact that there's no specific game to look at, there is a lot of idea to look at for this main event. And of course, I wish our Terriers, I wish our baseball team the best of luck for this game. That will be it for this week. I hope you guys had a good time. I hope you liked this episode. And I hope to see you next week. Same time, same channel. See ya.